Alright, the next step is to remove this plastic bumper and get my new metal bumper. You can see I haven't painted it because I decided to do something else. The way this thing mounts, the mounts are kind of low and the recovery points are kind of high, so I think it's going to torque the bumper. So I'm going to try to add on to the mounting brackets. So as you can see, the way it mounts is 2 bolts on the bottom like the stock bumper, and they've added this bumper or this bolt on the side, which is good, but I think it could be better. I think we need to add a piece of metal here and put a bolt on the top. Otherwise, when this recovery point is pulled on, it's going to cause the bumper to twist. So that's what I'm planning for today. The frame rail with a piece of 1/4-inch steel right there. Well, let's see what happens. Okay, so I got the new bumper in place. Should be stronger. I mean, it's not going to be a derby car or whatever, destruction derby or something, but it's better than plastic. And the recovery points, once I strengthen them, should be good, I'm hoping. And this is what I was talking about, that top recovery point, the little hook. If you were to stick a recovery rope, chain or something there and pull, I think because the only mounts are underneath and right there in the side hole. I don't know if you can see that. I think it might twist the bumper down because all the leverage would be at the top. So I'm going to put a top bracket, or top off this bracket, hopefully tie into the recovery point as well. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so I got out my poster board and made a template for the bracket I'm gonna add to the bumper. And it'll sit something like this. You can't see, so that's nice. So it'll sit like this. Only it'll be square. And that'll sandwich the frame rail. And have another bolt hole on the top to keep it from twisting downward, hopefully. And to see what that looks like on the frame, it'll be something like that, where this will be fully welded onto that thicker recovery point and then bolted down into the frame. So that's the plan. Okay, so I've got my template affixed with tape so it doesn't move, and I mean, obviously you could cut this with an angle grinder or some other method, bandsaw, whatever you have, but I have an ArcDroid, so I'm going to use that and trace it. So I'll zero it here, go to trace, and I'll start with this bolt hole. Could hold the button down and trace the circles, but I'm going to use points. That'll be good enough. Make that a left cut, so it starts in the center of the bolt hole. 1/4-inch lead in. Alright, let's start the outside of the shape. These corners are angled off because of the weld that's already on the bumper. All right, edit that one, make it a right cut so it starts outside the circle, 1/4 inch lead in. Okay, so that is my part. Now to cut it. Alright, I got the plasma cutter set at 45 amps and I changed the feed to 45 inches per minute for the 1/4 inch, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to turn on the torch and hit it. Alright, I obviously did something wrong. It cut the bolt hole out, but it didn't cut the perimeter of the bracket. So I went back and I don't want to waste the metal, so without moving anything, I deleted the center bolt hole from the drawing, and I'm going to run it again with just the outer bracket line. There's one bracket. Okay, so I just lifted this out of the hole. And that's pretty good. Pretty clean cut. I mean, I'm not going to mess with grinding that much. This is the back side. Oops. Pretty clean. Alright, so I'll test fit it and we'll see if we're ready to cut the second one. Okay, I just went and measured the frame rail again. It's actually 5 1/8 inches. So that's where that will need to be. I think it's going to look pretty good. I think that'll be stronger than it was from the factory and make me feel a little bit better about it. I don't know. Nothing's 100%, but it'll be better. Okay, so I edited the drawing and closed the two objects. I think that's the reason why it stopped in the middle of the first one. So I think I'm ready to run the second one. I've zeroed it, repositioned the torch. So I ran a dry run, it looked good, so let's see what it does this time. Okay, that cut wasn't quite as clean. Let's see, there's some dross on there, way more than the first one had. So I'll take a look at the consumables, see if my torch is getting mucked up. But you can see right there where it kind of welded itself back together. So I pried it out of there, but that's the second bracket. Alright, so I got both add-on brackets position where I think they go, and I'm gonna tack them in, and we'll see how it fits. Alright, tried it on the Bronco, everything fits fine. I marked where the holes need to be drilled for the upper bolts. Problem is I have bolts, but I don't have any nuts, so I'm gonna have to run uptown to get the nuts, because I'm gonna weld those on the inside. So but for now I'm gonna go ahead and finish weld this on. Yeah, I never said this would be a video about perfect welding, but I think it'll hold. Alright, let that cool, and then I'll work on the frame rails, getting a hole for that bolt. And then, like I said, I gotta run to town and get a nut to weld in there. Alright, there's the new mounting holes on the top of the frame rail, left and right. Next, to tack in I'm gonna weld in the nuts on the bottom to make it easier to install. Okay, now I'll weld the nut inside the frame. hold the top portion of the bumper. Watch your head. Back out in the garage to finish up this bumper today. I got started and mounted the license plate using an old Idaho license plate to pretend like I'm from the land of the free. And I got this little LED license plate light off of Amazon. There's like $10 for 2 of them or something like that. So we get that wired up and get it mounted. Well, after I get it mounted the final time, I'll go back and get it sanded and painted, and we'll see what it looks like and get it mounted up for a final mount up. Okay, more test fitting, and I really don't like that license plate light plug there, so I'll probably have to relocate that. And then I don't like how that piece of plastic hangs down, so I'll probably visit that with a Sawzall and see what it looks like. I might even black out the body color behind the bumper. I don't know. That'll probably be another day if I do that. Now to get the angle grinder out again and sand off some of the spots that are opposite the welds where the powder coat's no longer sticking. Then I'll probably get a regular sander and orbital sander and touch everything off and then paint it. Alright, so time to put some metal etching primer on the bare metal. Warning to any auto body guys or painting professionals. I mean, none of them are going to be intimidated by what they see here. But this is a guy in his backyard with a spray can, so let's see what we can do. Alright, so there's some primer on it. It's far from perfect, but should be a little bit stronger than out of the factory. You can see the waves. I'm going to paint it with the textured paint, so you won't be able to see any of that. Well, time to let it, it's kind of cool, probably colder than I'm supposed to paint, but let that dry and then I'll come back out and put some paint on it. Alright, I gotta fire up Dad's airport shuttle service, so before I do that, I think I'll go ahead and put a base coat on this. I'm using a Rust-Oleum truck bed coating. I've used it on bumpers before. I used it on my rocker guards. It seems to hold up really well. It doesn't fade, and it's easy to touch up. The texture hides all the sins of the painter. from the airport. And I put put a coat on the back. And as soon as that dries, I'll flip it over and do another coat on the front. Okay, got the bumper installed. Tires back on. I guess I could have left that off and showed you, but I did cut off the little plastic. I didn't use a Sawzall. I have some tin snips, some snips that work just as well. And I used some flat black paint underneath the bumper there to black that out. And there's the land of the free plate. I replaced that with the People's Republic California plate. Anyway, there you go.